I was doing Stateside Press. I'm here with Kamuela Kirk, who returns to action next Saturday against Damon Jackson. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy to be talking with you. You're a week out. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel great, man. It's last year I fought 3 times, and 2 out of those 3 fights were short notice. So my last 2 fights I didn't get a camp, and to have a camp for this one has been nice. It's been a phenomenal camp. Um, Dude, I gotta say, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Damon Jackson because he's brought the best out of me. We've worked on so many things this camp, and I feel like I've just leveled up and elevated as a fighter so much more. I feel like the version that I am now would kick the old version of my ass 6 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Before camp really started. So um it's great, man. That's great. A lot of the stuff that I've learned and practiced and have really gotten good at for this fight, I'm going to carry on with me for the rest of my career.
Man, I'm looking forward to watching it. But before we talk about your fight, it's been 9 months since your UFC debut. I guess, how did you feel about that fight?
Yeah, so that was, I'm always, well, it's a little bit of a loaded question. I felt phenomenal to be making my UFC debut. You know what I mean? It was truly a dream come true. It was awesome to go out there and get the win, especially against a tough guy like Amir Khani, former top 15 ranked guy, came in, took the fight and was able to get the victory over a tough featherweight. Now with that said, I'm always looking for the finish. So I was disappointed that I didn't get the finish. That was the first fight that I won, which was that I won by decision. All of my other fights have been by finish, whether it's knockout or a submission, and most of those in the first round. So to come away with the victory is always good, right? A dub's a dub. But I wanted the finish. I almost had that finish in round 2 with the submission. But I'm hungry, and I plan on going out there and finishing Damon Jackson next week.
Yeah, I was going to say you snapped your 100% finish rate. How bummed were you?
Yeah, dude, it's you can't be too. Like I said, a dub's a dub, dude. So I was happy. I walked away with the victory. That victory is going to be on my record permanently. I got the win bonus as well. So you can only beat yourself up so much. But I'll tell you, man, that armbar that I had, that triangle armbar that I had in round 2, has lived in my mind rent free. And just because I don't know how I didn't finish that. I don't know how he didn't tap. I mean, the dude's tough as nails, man. I'm not even playing. When I had the armbar, I was waiting for his arm to give out. I thought his arm was gonna snap. You know, um, I've been doing jujitsu for a long time, man. I started doing jujitsu when I was 4 years old. I know what a tight armbar feels like, to have one, and dude, that was as tight as any armbar I've ever had in my entire life. And somehow he didn't tap, and his arm didn't snap. So, good on him.
Madness, madness. I mean, how did it feel to get your first UFC win after grinding for so fucking long, man?
Yeah. Yeah, it felt great. It felt great. Like you said, dude, it's been a grind, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And it just felt good to finally get in the show that that I'd been wanting to fight in since I was a kid. And then to make my, to win my UFC debut, and just the whole experience. It was surreal, but at the same time, it wasn't. Like the fan in me was like, dude, because I'm a huge MMA fan on top of being a fighter. So the fan in me was like, man, this is so cool. But then the fighter in me was like, you belong here. You've worked your ass off. Let's go take care of business.
Man. So was the 9 month layoff because you fought 3 times in 2021, or were you dealing with some injuries as well?
No, so the 9 month layoff, I had a fight scheduled in October. And then that fight ended up falling through. My opponent ended up pulling out. I'm not sure what the reason was, but that fight didn't line up. And so then we were looking for something, and then the holidays hit, and all their cards were booked out. It was a kind of a scheduling thing. And then finally we were able to make this work for March 12th.
Gotcha, gotcha. Damon Jackson. So when the opportunity comes up for a short notice fight, what goes into that decision? Is it like opponent? Is it date? Do you talk with your management and coaches, or is it just like, fuck it, I want to fight?
You know what? It's a little bit of everything. It kind of depends on how good of shape you're in. For me, I'm always in the gym. Even when I don't have a fight lined up, I'm always in the gym. So now there is a difference between being in the gym training regularly versus being in fight shape and, you know, putting in a camp. There is a difference. But when you're always in the gym, you're always more prompt to say yes to a short notice opportunity when they arise. Um, you know, it also depends on where you're at in your career too. You know, is it a fight that you need to take? Is it a fight that's going to really put you forward and move you forward in the rankings? You know, if you're in the UFC or if you're out of the UFC, is this the open door to get you into the UFC? So there are a lot of different, you know, variables that go into that decision, but it is something that's discussed with, you know, management and with coaches, at least for me.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. What do you think of the matchup?
I love the matchup, man. I love the matchup. Damon is a tough guy. I believe 17. I believe he has 17 finishes. 17 of his 19 wins are by finish, and I think 14 of those are by submission. Those are the kinds of guys that I like to fight, man. I want to fight somebody who's gonna go out there and he's gonna look for the finish as much as I'm gonna look for that finish. You know, between the two of us, we have, what is it, like 28 finishes between the two of us combined. So I don't think the judges are going to need to stick around for that fight. I don't think they're going to be needed. You know, I think that he's going in there with the same mentality as me, and that's going to be to finish the fight. And when you get two fighters like that, usually more often than not, the fans are happy. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, it's such a fun matchup. On next week's card is loaded. It's just loaded with fun fights, and yours and Damon's is just it's penciled. It's penciled for either fight of the night or someone's taking home $50,000 for a performance of the night, man. How do you see this fight going down? And do you have a prediction?
Yeah, I predict I'm going to finish Damon. I know, you know, stylistically, you watch Damon's fights, you know, he's going to try to get you against the cage. He's going to try to hold you. He's going to try to take you down and grind on you until he finds that submission. I know that that's his style, and I'm very much prepared for that. I'm very much prepared for his style on the feet too, you know, and dude, honestly, I've worked every single area, every aspect of my game for this fight. I feel better than I've ever felt before. So like I said earlier, man, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since I was 4 years old. About half of my finishes come by submission. And like I said, the other half by knockout. So we can strike, we can wrestle, we can go to the ground. Let's do it, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. And it's going to be fun.
Three last things for you. Who were some of your training partners this camp?
Training partners, man. We got some really good guys. Balajin, he's been a top training partner of mine. A guy named Kurt Tennille. He is an up and comer. Keep your eyes open for him. This guy is the truth. He's going to be the future. Kurt Tennille, he's been huge for this camp. Ray Waters has helped me out a lot for this camp. Bryce Logan, Austin Shane, you know, just to name a few. And then of course, you know, my coach, Santino DeFranco, he's the man. Santino is I've been working with him since I was 19 years old, and he's the best coach and the best training partner that I've ever had. It's pretty cool when your coach is your top training partner, you know, or one of them at least. So, yeah, man, it's going to be good. We're ready.
What do you want your 2022 to look like?
I want it to be busy. I want to have at least another 3 fights this year, and I want to just continue to climb in the ladder. Really, what I really want to do too, on top of all that, is I want to fight in front of fans again. You know, it's been a while since I fought in front of fans because of COVID, obviously. And my last fight was at Apex. This fight is also going to be at Apex, and I want my next fight to be in an arena. I would love to fight in front of an audience, in front of a crowd. I love to perform, so that's my goal. You know, is to continue to climb the ladder and to fight in front of some people.
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah. And then, are you looking? Do you hope to get that Billy Q rematch back in a couple of years?
You know, it's funny that you asked me that. If our paths align, if it makes sense, then yes. But it's not something that I am. It's not something that I look at and I'm like, you know, I need to get that one back. You know, that number one, it's been awesome to watch how Billy's success. He's been doing really, really well. It's been a lot of fun to watch him, climb up the rankings in the UFC and to have bigger and bigger fights against better guys. That fight, you know, I I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses. I had a bad rib injury when I came into that fight. And at the end of round one, he threw a beautiful kick to the body and hit me right in the rib, right in the sore rib. And again, I'm not making excuses. Props to him. And again, congrats to all of the success that he's had. From the time that I got hit in that rib, man, I could barely breathe. It was very difficult to move. It was very difficult to rotate my body over. Going into the fight, we knew that it was a gamble. We're like, man, it was just too big of an opportunity to turn down because it was for the Contender Series. It was to get in the UFC. It was that door. So it was like, we gotta take this fight, even with the messed up rib. So now before I got hit in that rib, I was pretty much having my way with Billy. I was pretty much doing whatever I wanted to him. I took him down early on. I passed his guard. I mounted him. I took his back. I was working for the choke. And that was pretty much how the entire first round went. We got up on the feet, man. He hit my rib. And after that, that was kind of the button that kind of shut me down physically. So I know what level I'm at. If our paths, like I said, if our paths cross and it makes sense for that rematch, then great. We can run it back. Otherwise, it's not something that I'm going to be sitting around waiting for, calling Billy Q out because of how that fight went on the Contender Series, 3 years ago.
Gotcha. You know what? You brought something up. So with that fight, man, and you lose, and you don't get the contract, and then your next fight, you lose a split decision to Bruno. Does that have you questioning, like, am I good enough to get to the UFC? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going through your mind?
Yeah. So, I never questioned my skill set or my talent. It was again with Billy. I was very happy with how that first round went. Which right there shows me the level that I'm at, the level that I'm able to compete at. With Bruno, that was a fight that I thought that I won. So it was one of those things where I felt like, man, like I was more frustrated than anything. It was like I felt like I couldn't catch a break. I'm like, dang, between injuries, between split decision losses, that I believe that I won. It's like, man, it's frustrating. And when you're so close to the UFC and then you have a setback, you have a loss, man, you're looking at another 2-3 wins before you're even considered, of getting the call. So when those things happen, you're like, man, now I have to put together another win streak. I got to make sure that I win impressively, get these fights lined up. The more wins you have, the more impressively you win, and the more experience you have, the tougher it is to find matchups as well outside of the UFC because everybody's trying to get in the UFC. So if they look at you as a tough matchup, they don't want to take the fights. And then it becomes harder and harder to get fights, and it just becomes an uphill battle. So when I lost against Bruno, it was more frustrating than anything else. Like, man, how are we going to do this? Not that I didn't believe that I could, but it was more so, what do we have to do to make this happen? And it all worked out. My next performance after that was arguably my best performance. And after that, I got the headline LFA. And then after that, I made my UFC debut, so, and here we are on a 3-fight win streak, fighting Damon Jackson next Saturday. So it's cool.
Oh yeah, bro. Fucking story just continues. And man, I'm stoked for you. Thank you so much for your time. If you want to plug any of your sponsors, your social media, the floor is yours.
Cool. Yeah. You guys can check me out on social media. At the Joanne. And as far as sponsors go, I want to give a shout out to Marshall Rogan Inu for taking care of us fighters. Also my gyms, Siege MMA, Fight Ready, and Warrior Sports Wellness. So I appreciate everybody, all my team, everybody who's got my back. And yeah, make sure you guys tune in next Saturday. Let's get it.